Hey, what's going on? Thanks for tuning in. I I already started doing this review. I was a couple minutes into it when I realized I was not actually recording anything. So I'll go over it again, but today we've got the Civivi Elementum button lock. And I absolutely love this knife. It hasn't gotten as much pocket time as I would like it to have because I bought a few too many knives in a little bit too short of a span of period or a span of time. But this is one of my favorites. It's simple, it's sleek, it's relatively affordable, and it's a fun fidget knife. This guy's coming in with 14C28N. Nice blacked out G10 PVD coated blade. And I would have honestly liked to see the standoffs also be coated, but that's not that huge of a deal to me. Anyway, 14C28N is a fantastic budget steal from what I've found. It doesn't hold an edge crazy long by any means, but it sharpens and strops up fabulously. It gets so sharp. This was for quite a while my sharpest knife until I got a little bit better at sharpening and kind of realized exactly how important stropping was. But that being said, this stuff gets razor sharp. And combining that with the hollow grind that this blade is sporting, this thing is a cardboard cutting beast. It just slides through literally anything you throw at it. And, you know, on top of that, it looks clean and it's a fun little fidget knife. It is a button lock. It's a fairly unique knife from my limited experience in the knife world so far, in that it does fully lock when it's closed. You cannot open that without depressing that button. And that makes for an interesting fidget experience. Obviously, with it being button only deployment, you basically just have to press the button and give it a little bit of a flick. But I found that it gives it an interesting ting depending on how you open it. I've found that popping it open from this position gives a nice little ting. Definitely not the same sort of ting as you're going to experience with the Factor, which I do have coming. A lot of you probably know about the Winter Blade Co. Factor, but I have one of those on pre-order and I am stoked to have that come in near the end of the year. But this is a fantastic fidget knife. You can obviously do the wrist flick to open it, but it's also fun to do the little reverse flick. It's a little hard to do since there's no fuller or anything. You don't have a ton of real estate on this backside to be able to get that, but it is a fun little way to deploy. This thing is running on bearings. It is super smooth. You can kind of feel the bearings. They're not the best quality, I don't think, but the blade is completely free swinging. So it is a very smooth action, both in and out. It took a little bit of time to get used to how to the timing on actuating the button to make sure that you're not bouncing. And when you're opening it up, it's a little bit easier, but it took a little while to get used to the timing on not letting that blade bounce back out. But as you can hear, it just has a nice metallic sound to it. I love fiddling with this knife. Construction, very solid. Fit and finish is fabulous. Everything that I've gotten from Civivi so far, I can't complain about. The blade centering is perfect. Can't say that about the PM2 that I got. Blade centering on that guy when it came, not great. Action took quite a while to break in, and it's still something that I screw up the timing with the compression lock too, and getting that to not bounce out. But that being said, this I think is currently my favorite knife. Do a little bit of a comparison to the PM2. This guy is about the same length overall, but as you can see, you've got a fairly considerably longer handle in the PM2 and a fairly considerably shorter blade. The edge that you have like the working edge that you have, I want to say is maybe about a 1/4 inch longer here on the button lock Elementum than on the PM2. Is that really a make or break? Honestly, no, it definitely isn't for me. But I love how much blade you have in this with how slim of a package this is. Yes, this is not a fancy looking knife by any means, but I do like that it's kind of sleek, and it's not one that's gonna scare a lot of people necessarily when you pull it out. It's a decent dress knife in my opinion. I do have a couple gripes with it. Well, actually not even really a couple. The only real gripe that I have with this guy is the pocket clip. While it is an extremely effective pocket clip for actual use, it can create hot spots with that bill sticking straight up. I haven't had to put enough hard use into this guy to really have an issue with that, but you can feel that pocket clip in the palm of your hand when you're using it. It is reversible, so you know that is an option if you're a lefty. This is a fantastic knife. But I mean, sometimes with the way that this is designed, I probably wouldn't totally mind swapping the pocket clip over and having that kind of out of the way. Pocket clips for me, I've always felt a little less intrusive when they're on this side of the knife. I've got a couple knives that I've carried that way. And I mean, yeah, you get used to having to kind of flip that over as you pull it out. It's really not that big of a deal to do. The liners on this are slightly shadow boxed. The scales don't quite fully come to the edge, which on this specific version, the blacked out version, doesn't really mean anything considering everything's black. There's no contrast there. But if you were to like strip that black PVD coating off the liners, this would actually have a pretty classy two-tone look with just that little bit of liner showing out. I do like that they have a full back spacer on this, and does kind of add to the rigidity of the knife, but this is a very solid knife in general. The liners are also relatively heavily milled. You can kind of see in there for some weight savings. This is not a super light knife by any means, but it's also not heavy, and with the fact that it's relatively slim in this direction as well as in this direction, it disappears in the pocket. So if you're looking for something that's not too flashy, but is going to be, you know, a decent everyday workhorse, especially if you're not going to be having to really crank down on this knife, this is fabulous. I'd be a little concerned if you're a super hard user that this hollow grind might leave you a little too little material behind the edge to be super durable. But you know, this 14C28N sharpens and drops quickly and easily, and even if you were to get some heavy damage on that blade, I believe you would be able to get that out pretty quickly. I am missing the tip a little bit. That's due to my own fault. I've kind of rounded that over with sharpening a little bit. I'm still kind of getting my sharpening skills up to truly par, but yeah, this is definitely a fabulous knife. I do like this is definitely a drop point blade, but it has almost a dagger profile to it. There's a little bit more belly on the blade side than there is on the back side, but I do like this, and it makes it decent for getting that more utility type cut. You really don't have to try too hard to get that tip into something. There is a decent amount of nice jimping on the spine. It's a little rounder than I maybe would usually like, but it does give you a good purchase. There's not much in the way of a forward choil. There's a little bit of space there with that generous sharpening choil. This edge is going to last you ages before you start getting any sort of smiling or without, you know, running over on your work sharp precision adjust, screwing up anything on that plunge grind. But yeah, I can't recommend this knife enough if you're looking for something simple but capable. I have seen that the blade, I believe, is about a half an inch longer than the normal Elementum. So if you live in a place where you have blade length limits, you might want to look for the regular Elementum versus the button lock one, because I do not believe they make this in any smaller size. And this is definitely, I would say that full size EDC and like medium to full size overall knife. It's basically the same length dimensions as the PM2, but it takes up considerably less pocket real estate, as you can see. So, would I recommend? 100%. This is a fabulous knife. So, if you're on the fence and you care about what a knife noob has to say, hopefully I've helped make your mind up. So, thanks for tuning in. We'll catch you next time.